In this video, I'm going to talk you through the 3 types of AI deal every agent and talent should know about. Before I do that, let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Mathilde PaviS. I'm a legal advisor and the founder of Replique, where we help talent, agents, and creative professionals navigate AI and the contracts that wraps around AI projects and AI deals. Now, what's really important to us is that anyone and everyone who enters a deal that has an AI component is clear on the ins and outs of the project and what they're committing to. We're not here to sell you on AI or tell you, go ahead, embrace it all with your eyes closed or anything like that. Rather the opposite. I think what really matters is that you are in a driving seat of key decisions in your creative portfolio, your business, and your work. And that very much extends to your digital self and how and where you use AI or agree to innovate with the technology. Now, with that in mind, let's talk through the 3 types of what I call AI deals that you can be on the receiving end often as a talent or as an agent of a talent. The first one is a deal or a project where the client is offering to recruit your talent as any other projects for regular creative services. Let's take the example of a voiceover actor. You are being recruited to do regular voice work, so you'll be booked to record a number of hours in the studio with a script and content given to you in advance, and they were asking if they could also create a voice cloning of your talent to go alongside with the project. Often that happens when the client would like to run edits without having to rebook the person for an hour or more, where they want to respond fast to the news. Say if they're doing radio work and they want to do quick news updates with their host, and they would like the voiceover's voice to introduce the episode, but they don't have time to send the script within the 48 hour turnaround that they'd like to work under within, and they would love the ability to use a voice clone in order to pick up this fast turnaround work. Those are the typical examples. Sometimes there's an element around work for dubbing, but most of the time we see requests for voice cloning either to correct scripts, to localize scripts quickly and effectively, or to respond to news or to requests faster, so it's fast turnaround. That's the number one type of AI deal. It's a combination of regular creative services with an AI add-on, or sometimes what I call an AI bolt-on. For that type of deal, what is really important for you to do as the agent or the talent is to make sure the terms are separated out. You need the regular contract and services for the regular creative work and hiring that you know how to do, that is business as usual, that's your bread and butter, you know exactly what to do there. All of the terms that normally applies will apply. Separate from that, you want a voice cloning contract, and you don't want the two blended because they are very different. You don't want the licensing or rights transfer of the creative work for regular voice recording work to bleed or apply to the voice cloning work and all of the assets that goes on there, because that would create risks and caveats that are too dangerous for your talent, and also that wouldn't make sense in places, and the contract at the end of the day is not going to hold up. So you want a regular service contract. Separate from that, as an annex or as an additional attachment to the contract, you want a voice cloning contract. And that contract will need to be unique to the task and the process of voice cloning with its own terms. It won't be widely different. It'll just be structured slightly differently to fit the bill. And in particular, in this contract, you also want a privacy notice or a voice processing notice. Otherwise, that part of the contract can be challenged later. So it's not in your interest or your interest of the talent to see the contract fall on its face later. And it's also not in the interest of the engager or the producer. So for everybody involved, the best way forward with those AI deals is to separate out the 2 components of the contract, and contract number 1 on the voiceover, regular business as usual. The digital cloning contract should be a separate agreement specific to that task, and the 2 of course should live side by side. And commercially you need to make sure one doesn't cannibalize or eat into the other, but that's a conversation you can have openly with the client, the producer, or the engager at the table, and they should be familiar with your questions and requests if they have experience in the topic, and if it's not their first deal. It happens that the agent asking those questions is actually the most educated and sophisticated party in the negotiation, and there are ways to manage that by taking your time and explaining your questions and where they come from clearly. Now, that was number one, this type of AI deal, which I think is probably the most common in my experience. And with the talent and agents I help every day, that's definitely the most common form of work, AI work today. The second is an AI deal that is entirely about digital cloning or voice cloning, and only about digital cloning and voice cloning. There is no question of hiring the voiceover's regular services on the side or in addition to the voice cloning. The whole deal is 100% about that. When you're faced with those deals, it is critically important that you use a contract that is structured and designed for that type of work. You cannot use a standard voiceover contract for a digital cloning contract because this is non-standard work. So your standard contract is going to wreak havoc in terms of the rights and interests and protection of your voiceover contract when it's in the context of a digital cloning project. So it's non-standard work, and it requires a non-standard contract designed for voice cloning. And you have to structure it in key ways, which I explain in other, like on the podcast, The Last Human Voice, as well as in other places on the website. So if you want to have a look for more resources on the website, go to www.workwithreplique.com and look for the resources tab, and here you should find more information about what I mean in structuring a voice cloning contract safely. And I will produce more content and videos on this very topic very soon, because I get a lot of questions about this, really good pertinent questions. And I'm really glad actually people are asking more questions about this, because it means that we're more alert and aware of the risks, and to manage them, asking questions is the best way forward. So keep watching this channel. I'll post more resource and information on this. If not, have a look through my website and come to the Replique office hours. I will answer every and any questions you have on the topic, specific to a case or more generally speaking to a broader practice or industry trend. Now, that was the second deal, an AI deal that's entirely 100% about cloning and nothing else. Now, the third deal is one where your talent, or you as the talent, are being approached in order to do voice recording that will feed into an AI tool. Here you are recruited to produce content that will train a model, and you won't necessarily end up being cloned by the tool individually, but you will feed into the training database. You will become training data, or at least the recordings of your voice will become training data. That is different from being cloned, because what you do is you bring your voice, your skills, and your IP and personal data into the tool as a way for the tool to learn about what a voice sounds like and what an accent sounds like and so forth. But what will come out of the tool will not necessarily be a copy of your talent or a copy of your voice. What will come out will be whatever the tool has been instructed to be, the clone of another person, if it's been fine-tuned in this way, or the voice of a synthetic performer that will sound like no individual person in the training data set, therefore not you individually, but will have learned to imitate what a human voice sounds like from a particular region of the world in a particular language, based onto the training data set that will have been given into it. And you will be one of 100, one of 1,000, one of billions of recordings. And in this context, you are being approached for an AI training licensing deal. It's not cloning, it's not voiceover services with cloning, it's just AI licensing. So you're being recruited for research and development, or research, sometimes commercial research most of the time, project, and you're basically what are needed are your sound recordings. And you'll often be given a script, perhaps with a type of genre, emotions. It really depends on what the developers here need. Often here you're approached by a developer, or if it's a large production company, within their team, the IT department is asking you to come on board. What's really important with those deals when you get them is, of course, to request payment, not just being paid for time, but also ask for a license to train. This will be a research and development or an AI training license. They're very, very recent. There's no industry standards being set. So if you're the engine room, you're the agent or the talent making this deal, know that you are at the very forefront of your field. So if it feels a bit lonely, if it feels a bit confusing, that's right. It should be. It's new. It is brand new business that you're being working with. And so get help. Reach out to colleagues. Reach out to me if you'd like a sounding board. Don't do this alone if this is feeling a bit daunting and overwhelming, because this is new work. It should feel hard. And then also know that you'll be doing this AI licensing work is not supposed to be front facing or public facing, right? The voice, the individual voice is not supposed to then show up as a default voice, as a playable voice, as a promptable voice through that work. If that's the case, then you are a licensing deal for training purposes and maybe a cloning deal. So make sure the scope of the work doesn't creep. And if you're approached to train an AI tool, great, but that's separate and distinct from being approached to clone your talent's voice or clone your voice. Because if so, then you're in category number 2. You're in the second type of deal we've just talked about. You're in a cloning deal. And you need to be contracted for that differently, because then your voice will be commercialized and marketed completely differently than if it feeds into an AI model. Right, now you have it. The 3 types of deal. Number 1, just to recap, the deals that are a combination of creative work with an AI add-on or bolt-on. Number 2, the ones that are entirely about digital cloning. So that's the second one. There is no combination of services here. It's digital cloning through and through. And number 3, it's an AI training licensing or AI training contracting deal. And there's not supposed to be a public facing or cloning facing element, right? And if there is, make sure that the 2 are separate and the 2 are contracted differently, because the risk profile and the economic implication for your talents are different. Therefore, the paperwork should reflect that. You shouldn't have a contract that doesn't reflect the business being made or the shape of the deal being made. I think usually that's usually where things go wrong. Right, I hope this helps. I hope this helps you ask the right question and scan for the right risks and red flags in the deals you get, and that makes you more confident in moving forward with clarity in a space that very much needs agents and informed talent to make sophisticated, clever, and safe deals for themselves and for everybody else in the field for that purpose. I will catch you in the next video. In the meantime, feel free to get in touch if you have questions, you want feedback, you need clarification. I read all and every message I get. I love the topic. I speak fast, you can hear it. That's because I'm French and passionate about the topic. Actually, it's because I'm from Paris and passionate about the topic. But I appreciate that it can be a lot of information. I'm doing my best to make it accessible and actionable and practical. But if there's anything that's not clear, feel free to reach out. Don't sit with it on your own. That's the point of Replique. That's the point of all this, to find a community of like-minded professionals that can share questions, insights, information, so that we can all move forward in a positive and responsible, like business-oriented and talent-minded fashion. Let's do it. See you soon.